Alright, hello everybody. I wanted to record a little training video on how to create a custom GPT. The paid version of ChatGPT is new to me, and I am new to custom GPTs, so we will learn together. So this is how ChatGPT looks. I am logged in with my University of Utah account, so you should see that down here in the bottom left hand side that you're using ChatGPT EDU for your institution. And you'll see GPTs listed over here in the left hand side, and I think at our institution this use cases is something everybody has, and I just created this one as a test, and I'm going to create a duplicate of that one. So to start a new GPT, I use the Explore GPTs button. So I'm going to push that button right now, and we get this, and you'll see I've got a couple options up here in the top right corner. I've got my GPTs and a create button. So we're going to push a create button and create a new one. So I know there's kind of an automated menu here on the create side, and I'm not going to use that, so maybe I'll try it out and record another video at some point. But I just use the configure tab, and you'll see here are the options that we need to fill out. And maybe I'll just move this window over. I am going to save the files. I'm going to go ahead and I've saved some files in a GitHub repository. Maybe I'll put this link on the page so you can get these files and follow along this tutorial if you go to this GitHub address right here. But I went ahead and just made some fields that match what's in the GPT creation configure tab. And today is December 18th, 2025. These things change over time, so your screen may or may not look similar to what I have, but I suspect the fields will probably be fairly similar. But if you want to follow along with this video exactly as I create it, you can go to this page and just copy the fields. So in the name tab, and I don't know if you guys will see this. Let me move this a little bit so I can get to that tab. Okay, so in name, I'm just going to copy what I had before. If you click the little copy button, it will copy it, and I'm just going to put the same name in there. I'm just going to mark mine with the 2. Description, you can provide a short description, and I'm just going to use what I had before and paste that in this. George Gopin is a professor of rhetoric, and he wrote some articles about writing and some writing analysis, and this ChatGPT uses those to help analyze some writing. So instructions, there's a long set of instructions here, and we'll look at this a little more closely, but you can just copy it from this page, or you can type it out. That's a great way to learn what things are, but I'm going to go the quick route since I already wrote them once and edited them a couple times. So here's my instructions. So I do a lot of reading of student papers, and I try to make ways for them to be able to improve their writing. So here is some instructions based off some prompts that I've been using. You are an expert editor of academic writing and scholarly articles. You are going to analyze this text according to the reader expectation approach to writing described by George Gopin. We will look at this writing in steps, perform the steps one at a time, and do not move to the next step until the user instructs you to do so. When instructed to write sentences, always write the whole sentence. Don't shorten or truncate it. After each step, always ask the reader what they would like to do next and provide them with options. So I have played with this a little bit. A couple of these instructions are additions that I made as I went trying to tweak the behavior. Hopefully this works okay for you. One of the things that I've noticed using these tools is sometimes they change the way they respond. So this seemed to work okay today. But when it was writing out sentences, it would shorten them and use ellipses in the middle. And so I wanted to see full sentences, so I added that instruction. And I also added the instruction to provide options, because on a couple of instances it kind of stopped where it was in the process. So I wanted some back and forth with the reader, with the user, to be able to analyze some writing and do some revisions, and this seemed to work. So I don't know if this is the best way. This is a way, and if I find something later I might switch to it. But I described the first step, telling the user, we'll look at the overall paragraph organization first, focus on the logic and flow between the paragraphs of a piece of writing. For each paragraph, write out the paragraph, then answer these questions about each paragraph. Does the paragraph have a single main issue? Write out the sentences and describe the issue. Does the paragraph have a point? Write out the sentences that state the point. Does the paragraph have sound internal logic and flow? So basically it's just looking at the paragraph first a little bit, just to get a quick read on how well it's constructed. And then Gopin talks about connecting paragraphs in a piece of writing together. So does the paragraph connect well with the previous paragraph? If there is a connection between the paragraphs and the previous paragraph, does the paragraph connect with the beginning, middle, or end of the previous paragraph? Does the connection between paragraphs follow Gopin's recommendations? Are the paragraphs arranged in a logical sequence? Do the paragraphs flow well from one to the next? Ask the reader whether they would like to revise the writing following Gopin's recommendations, or to continue analyzing the original writing sample by moving to step 2, analyzing individual sentences. If the user has already asked you to revise the writing, ask them if they would like to move on to step 2 and analyze the individual sentences in the original text that they provided, or analyze the individual sentences in the revised text you provided. So there's a little bit of a workflow here, and it seemed to go okay. We'll see a demo at the end. Step 2, they're going to go through and evaluate the sentences. I'm not going to read them. There's criteria that Gopin's listed, and it's using some of his criteria, which I stated a lot more briefly here in this example, because we're going to upload some of his actual articles in a minute. So, and this seemed to work okay, so this might be an advantage of the custom GPT, as having to provide a little less explanation. And then step 3, after they look at individual sentences, I wanted one last look at the paragraph, each paragraph, to look at the structure and if there's any recommendations for making the paragraph stronger, in case it's not well formed. The first section we looked at like how the paragraphs are looked at it as like from one paragraph to the next and their logic and flow, but the last one just looks at the internal structure of each paragraph. So conversation starters. So these, with a little trial and error, I learned that this does not display much text at all. So it's not really a great place for instructions. It really is just to get things going. So I put in the first one. You'll notice when you put in one, you get another space for another one. And it puts this little short blurb right here, and it does not display much text at all. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys what I put in for these. So analyzing paragraphs in, analyzing writing in steps, and I would like, you can write longer text here, it just won't show it, and there's no way to, like, I didn't see a way to scroll or anything. And when I clicked on one of these buttons, it opened up another window and followed it like it was a ChatGPT prompt. So I don't know if I understand the purpose of these very well. And you'll notice that when I have put this last instruction here, it only displays 4. So I just thought I'd leave that to show you guys. It's really short, and it doesn't do that, so there's probably something else to learn out of that I don't understand well. Okay, conversations knowledge, and you can upload files here. So in my on this repository, I actually provided you, if you click on these links, you'll download the 2 PDF files that I created with his articles about paragraphs and his articles about sentences, so that you can duplicate this if you want to. And I will put a link to a page that lists all of his articles. They're great reading. But I'm going to go to upload files, and I originally had these stored in another folder, so I'm going to go ahead and select these 2. So you can, use whatever files you're using. If I remember the training correctly, I think the limit might be 20, but they said sometimes less is more. And I had created these combinations of some of his articles before, so now the knowledge articles are there. Recommended model, I just chose the latest thinking model, which is, as of the time I recorded this, looks like I have access to 5.2 thinking. And excuse me, I did not see a need for web searching or image generation while somebody's using this GPT. It's really just for some writing analysis tasks. So that's it. That's the configure button. Those are all of the options. I gave you what I used here in case you want to follow this. And I'm going to hit create. And it gave me this message. I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this, because I apparently cannot share this with anybody. And I'm going to copy that message so that I can contact support somewhere and find out what I need to do. Apparently, yeah, all I can do is invite people, but I'm just going to hit update. I got that the first time I created it, not every time I went back and edited. And looks like you can copy a link. I'll go ahead and copy the link and paste that on some other notes. Okay. And I'm going to finish out and say update. So every time I edited this, it said update. And then, okay, so it says it's updated, and I can view the GPT. I'm going to go ahead and skip that. So if you click on this, it'll just open up the GPT window. But you'll notice up here, if you happen to close that down, you just hit this little back arrow here, and it takes you back to the main page. And now you will see your GPT listed here under writing analysis. And I'm going to go ahead and try this out. And I'd love to be able to put more instructions. Oh, okay, I guess I can go put more instructions up here under the description. So I will go probably fix that, and I maybe don't need these prompts here. I think those probably are prompts to start something else, so I'm going to go change that. Sorry, I'm learning as I go. So put any instructions you want here up here in the description. So I prepared some text just to look at, and I took a few paragraphs out of the AACN Essentials, and just so that we could have something to try this out. And I was, this was okay. I was, it's reading the documents, I think, which are my uploads. This was a section out of the ACN Essentials about competency-based education, and I took 5 paragraphs, and it's doing its thing. And the thinking models give you kind of the blow by blow as it works through the process. And I did not give it a huge amount of explanation about Gopin's reader expectation approach framework because they're in the knowledge articles, so I wanted to see, could it take these articles and turn it into something useful. And I was pretty happy. So when I am looking at writing with prompts, I kind of like to see the paragraph it's talking about, so I don't have to go back and forth. So I usually tell it to reproduce the thing that I'm working with. And then, you know, some analysis points of looking at the issues and the points of a paragraph, and you need to go read the open articles. But I like to see the sentences it's talking about, so I have it list them out. Talking about internal logical flow, connects well with the previous paragraph, and it says this is the opening paragraph, so it doesn't have a backward link. That's fantastic. It recognizes that this is the first paragraph in the writing sample I provided. Second paragraph, and it's talking about the issue and points of the paragraph. Is the logic and flow inside the paragraph okay? Says it is pretty good. And it has a couple things that it noted here, and it goes through the other paragraphs, which I liked. And you know, if this is your writing, obviously read it one paragraph at a time. I've read all these a couple times now. And talking about the overall things that I asked about, and then it asks you, do you want to revise the writing, move to step 2 and analyze the original text, or and revise, and then you can choose step 2 on the revised version of the original. I'm going to go ahead and select option 3, and I'm just going to type 3. I asked it to provide, you know, the reader with options at every time, and it's going to go through and do its thing again. So it's going to provide a revision based on some of its observations. And when I read through this, they weren't bad suggestions. And here's my option, move to step 2 and analyze the individual sentences in the revised text. If you want to stick with the original, great. If you wanted to go ahead and work on the revised, and if I read through this, I haven't read through this one, but originally they were decent, so I was like, okay, let's go ahead and go with option 2 to look at individual sentences. And this is really meant to be a bit of a writing workshop, so somebody can, analyze their own writing and make improvements. I really kind of like this back and forth process here. And obviously somebody has to start with the text that they put together and then can work with it. And so this one goes sentence by sentence through every sentence, talking about what is strong about the sentence and what could be improved about the sentence based on Gopin's recommendations, and so it goes through this and lists each sentence, and then what would you like to do next? Revise the text again, move to step 3, paragraph level using the current revised text, and I want to go to the next option. I'm going to go to step 3, the newly revised version, where the sentences have been updated. Honestly, this reminds me a little of a choose your own adventure story from when I was young. So it went through and revised the text again based on looking more closely at individual sentences. And then it's going to go through each paragraph, and again I'm looking at, what's the issue, is the start strong, what's the point, is the point well placed, does the paragraph end strongly, what are the supporting points in the paragraph. Obviously it's not following my instructor to list the sentences out exactly, so but we get the point. And then it goes through each of these paragraphs, looking at how, the internal structure of the paragraph, and looking more closely at those. And so in this last paragraph, it's talking about some definitions, and it ends on, these definitions are included in the glossary, page 59. So not the greatest end to a paragraph. You like to kind of sum up the points. And does the paragraph end strongly? It ends with a locator, which is functional rather than rhetorical. This is fine if the goal is usability, but is not a big finish. And so that's a great, observation. And produce the finished version. So I'm going to go with option 1 and let it do a final revision based on what it said. I'm not going to go through and read this again. And that is, we've kind of workshopped this writing and revised it based on Gopin's recommendations. And this is in what I love about this is you can go back to any step along the way, pull, any of this information that you wanted. But I was pretty happy with that. So this is something that it looks like we can share with each other and do things. So if you say that I noticed something wasn't working right, so I want to go edit a GPT, so I'm going to go back to Explore GPTs, and this time I'm going to go to My GPTs, and now I can see that each of my GPTs I've created is here with an edit button, and these two are identical to each other. I just wanted to start fresh and give you guys an example. Worked from the start. And let's see, we can delete that GPT. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this new one that I created because I do not need to have the exact same things. But I've got my original. I'm going to keep that there. And just for fun, I will go ahead and I'm going to go into Edit, and I'm going to click on Share, and I'm going to say Copy Link, and I will paste that link into my page, because I think the only people that can get into this are people with university access. So that should be fine. So I hope this training's helpful, and I learned a lot by making this, and I got some more things that I'm going to try and make. But when you got to do the same thing over and over again, a custom GPT looks like a great way to go. And you'll see them in GPTs, and there's the GPTs that you've created. So use a good name because you'll need to find it in the list. And use a short name because it looks like it truncates, and you can't resize this left hand menu, it looks like. So, and if I hover over, I don't see it pop up. All right, well, you guys have a good day.